Welcome to Tate Britain, a treasure trove bursting with masterpieces.
I know what I like, and I like this.
And home to the National Collection of British Art.
Wow.
I'm Gus Casely-Hayford.
Oh.
As an art curator and a cultural historian, I've been lucky enough to work with some of the finest institutions in the country. But this series is pretty special. With unique access to Tate Britain,
Oh, they're fantastic.
I'm going to take you on a journey into the scenes of some of the nation's most loved landscape paintings. Look at that. And I'm not alone, because I'm going to be joined by some of the finest showmen and showwomen.
I'm going to go to more art galleries after this.
We'll walk in the artists' footsteps, rediscovering their secrets and their inspirational views.
This is it.
Yeah.
Some as if the artist just left them,
Rowing into history.
and others completely transformed.
This is the Hogarth roundabout.
So sit back and enjoy the view, or better still, follow in my footsteps.
Oh, bugger it. Why was I born so short?
Today I'm going to take you on a journey through the landscapes of southern Wales to discover the art of Joseph Herman, a name that not everyone will recognise, but an artist who's a great hero of mine. And I have the privilege to go with a multi-award-winning actor whose fame took him from Wales to Hollywood, but who's never been shy of expressing his political views.
Michael Sheen, an utterly extraordinary screen presence. And whenever I think of him in terms of these amazing transformations. Frost, Blair, Clough, extraordinary. But behind all of that, there's also this hinterland, this man who is a passionate spokesman on behalf of his native Wales. And today, we're going into a journey into the world of an artist who loved southern Wales every bit as much as Michael Sheen. Joseph Herman, he isn't a native of Wales. He was born in Poland, but he adopts Wales, falls in love with it. And he recorded a world of miners, of cockle pickers, with vivid majesty that is just extraordinary. So Michael Sheen, Joseph Herman, it's going to be a journey to remember.
Joseph Herman died in 2000, but strongly remains within the memories of many Welsh people. He was an incredible and prolific artist who became famous for his work depicting the daily lives of the mining communities. His life story is an extraordinary tale of a Jewish-Polish refugee fleeing Nazi oppression in Poland, Belgium and France, before finally settling in Ystradgynlais, a small mining town in southern Wales in 1944. Having grown up only a few miles away in Port Talbot, Michael Sheen is intrinsically linked to the work of Joseph Herman, which is well known to him and to many others in South Wales.
Every time I come here, I'm just blown away by what I see. I don't think of myself as an art expert in any way, but I know what I like. and I like this.
Oh,
it's beautiful.
I do love this place. I mean, with every other journey we've gone on in this series, we've gone left into the pre-modern era. But for Joe Herman, we're going
Ironically, we're going right.
Yes.
I don't like going right.
Oh, I do adore this room.
So many different things going on in it, isn't it?
Yeah, isn't that wonderful?
There it is.
Joseph Herman. And it looks so different, doesn't it, when you see it from the reproductions?
Yeah. I suppose I imagine it huge.
It's painted with this wooden frame on wood. In every way, he's giving us signals that are meant to tell us that these are people that we should respect.
Yeah. And with the tip in the background, like a great pyramid, and of course, those pyramids are one of the great wonders of the world, built by labour.
Yeah.
And so there's some sort of parallel being drawn, I guess, or some kind of echo of the great achievements of hard labour.
And this limited palette sort of 4 a.m. colours. I mean, he's a man who rose at 4 a.m.
He was doing the day shift, like the miners were.
It is an absolutely stunning thing.
Yeah. It is very moving for me as well to see my home, you know, in this small brown square. It's very powerful for me to see that.
So, time to leave London and brave a part of the world I've never been before, the old mining valleys of South Wales. This is a journey slightly different to the ones we've been on so far, as it's as much about communities that shaped and became part of the landscape as it is about the scenery. Ystradgynlais, a place known for its thriving mining industry. When Joseph Herman arrived here in 1944, the air would have been filled with burning coal, and the streets heaving with miners on their way back from a hard shift at the pit. For our first walk, we'll go back in time and try and grasp the essence of daily life in Ystradgynlais in the 1940s. We'll start at the top of Brecon Road, where Joseph would have arrived and discovered the exact spot where he painted his famous 3 miners. Our second stop will be at the Miners' Welfare Hall, a place which was central to the miners' lives. We'll then continue over the River Towie, past the Penny Bont Inn where Joseph lived during his first year here, finally reaching St. Synog Church, where an old tradition from the mining community is kept alive.
So he comes here in 1944, and he comes with his wife who's pregnant. And he's thinking it's just for a break.
For 2 weeks, wasn't it?
Exactly. And then stays for 11 years. So there's obviously something about this place.
Yeah, they don't let you go once you get here. The persecution that he was leaving behind, that sense of community, must have been very strong in him, and to have lost his family and his homeland and his community.
Yes.
You couldn't really have come anywhere in the world with a stronger sense of community and family than here.
And do you still feel that yourself?
Well, it's complicated, guys. I think, you know, it's gone through all kinds of periods of time, but certainly the time when Herman got here, there would have been an incredibly strong sense of community. Because of the conditions, because being down the mines was like being at war for a lot of men, the sense of danger was always there, ever present, I think pulled people together. And you can see in all of Herman's pictures, really, you very rarely see a miner on his own.
Yes.
You see miners together. You see there's a sense of camaraderie. You get the sense of community just through that, if nothing else. I know there's one Herman picture of a miner just on his own, sort of crouched down. He looks like he's in the middle of a breakdown of some kind, you know, and I think symbolically there's something there about on your own, you're much weaker than you are together. And
this over here is the site of possibly his most famous painting, of 3 miners.
On in, you all right? You waiting for the bus, are you? Or is it a coach? Coach, oh, lovely. Okay. Well, have a lovely day. Enjoy yourselves.
So this is the actual site where the 3 miners probably sat. And he talks about them sort of like Egyptian gods that sit between earth and sky, and they do look like they're carved into a frieze, that there's something permanent about them, but sort of heroic as well.
Yeah. Got to think about all of Herman's paintings of the miners. Their legs a lot of the time are not like, they don't follow the regular human physical form. They're like sort of columns, pillars that hold up. These men are used to having weight bearing down upon them, both symbolically and physically. And
it's quite an
legs.
unconventional thing, isn't it? That you take working class people and you make them heroic, and they look heroic.
Yeah.
These are people who actually change the landscape itself. So the huge slag heap that sits behind them, which is now gone, but the idea of humans being able, through their own hand, to change the geography.
Yeah.
And let's cross over. Let's go and so this is the pole. 1, 2, 3.
Like they were waiting for a bus.
Exactly. But somehow he makes something which is so prosaic and pedestrian, monumental.
Yeah, because there is something simplistic on the surface, but what actually comes through the paintings is rich and complex, and becomes more complex as time goes on. Because of what's happened since that time.
Absolutely.
With these communities, I think it only increases in its complexity now.
Yeah. Shall we?
Next stop?
Yeah.
The Miners' Welfare Hall, where we'll hear stories from the community that Joseph was so fascinated by and find out more about the erosion of the mining world.
Heritage was something that was held in aspect.
Michael Sheen and I are in South Wales, exploring the old mining communities through the eyes of Joseph Herman, whose love for the town of Ystradgynlais shines through in his paintings as intensely as Michael's feelings for the way that the community was destroyed after the mass mine closures of the 1980s.
In not that many years' time, there won't be anyone left who actually went down the mines, you know.
Yes.
We're making our way down Brecon Road toward the Miners' Welfare Hall, a place at the heart of the community, and taking in the scenery as we go.
This is one of the great Herman views, that he comes here, stands on these street corners and captures them again and again. I mean, this view here has barely changed.
Yeah.
Since the 1980s, many of these social venues have been disappearing, along with an entire way of life, when mining was still the lifeblood of this community. And Michael's trying to dissuade me of any kind of romantic notions that I might have about this area.
If I think of an area of Britain that has a sense of community, I think of Wales. I think of...
Well, what's that based on? You've never been here before.
Oh, I know, but...
What are you basing that on?
I'm basing that on every bit of knowledge I have of anyone who I meet who's Welsh, and they're always talking with such passion.
Because they're not
about
there anymore.
Their sense of community.
People suddenly discover a sense of community when they're not living in that community anymore. The Welsh are a very romantic, a very sentimental people, as well as being a very practical, people and dealing with the realities of things. But there is a desire for it still to be true, when the reality is that the danger is that it's not true anymore. That the community is being pulled apart, fractured, not because that's what they want, but because that's what had to happen, because it was too dangerous. These communities brought down a government, and that could never be allowed to happen again. And so now the final defeat would be for the people to leave these communities for good. Well, for some people, to leave their community would be death. There are many types of death, and one of them would be to just not be part of that community anymore.
Yeah.
These communities were built up around industry, around work. That's where that sense of dignity came from that Herman was able to capture so well.
With the communities being threatened and the memories of the mining cultures disappearing, I realise the work of Herman becomes all the more important as a way of keeping the history of the community alive. Miners' welfare halls were places where decisions were made, where people would get married, get an education, or simply socialise. The one in Ystradgynlais is one of the very few surviving and is now home of the Joseph Herman Foundation, a treasure trove full of paintings by the great man.
Growing up in Port Talbot, I've grown up around steelworks. There was a BP chemical plant there as well when I was growing up. So my whole aesthetic is based around industry. My sense of what I think is beautiful is very affected by that, Although, of course, How Green Was My Valley was filmed around Malibu Lake in Los Angeles, as I discovered fairly recently. I was filming there and someone said, oh, this is where How Green Was My Valley. All right, okay.
The Foundation's collection is so extensive, they're now having to archive some of it.
Hello.
Hello.
Can we come in?
Come in.
Dewch i mewn.
Oh, diolch yn fawr. Hey, how are you? Hello, what's going on here?
We are bubble wrapping our collection of Herman works.
So how did all these Herman works come to be here?
Well, basically through the relationship we developed with Joseph and his late wife, Nini Herman. After he passed away, she was very keen that the people of Wales had access to original works.
It's so wonderful to be able to actually have real access to actually touch the work
And there's
created by
a
someone.
great interest when people find out that the collection is here, you know, locally. They don't.
Yeah.
They can actually see original works without going even down to Swansea.
Yeah.
There's such an economy in the sketches, aren't there?
Yes.
Just the use of the miner's lamp.
Also, the neckerchief is always there.
Yeah.
Do you think he captured something of the spirit of this place?
He saw them as the heroes of the community, which they were, but they were unsung heroes until he came.
So he arrives here. I mean, the interesting thing is that, you know, my parents' arrival in Britain was a difficult thing, you know, and that they didn't feel necessarily welcomed by the community that they arrived with it. But Herman's story is different. He arrives here and he's kind of embraced into the bosom of this community.
Because he was embracing the community embraced him back, and he enjoyed it.
A lot of local people, who are in their 80s, 90s even now, remember seeing him around the town.
Gosh. Thank you so much.
No, we don't want to stop you from your bubble wrap. I know there's a lot of work to do there. So good luck.
Yes,
And thank you.
Thank you.
From the Miners' Welfare Hall, we're making our way towards St Synog Church, walking along the beautiful River Towie, admiring along the way some of the far-reaching views that Herman loves so much. It was during his time in Wales between 1944 and 1955 that Joseph was most prolific. He found in the Welsh landscape a heroic and noble nature that never ceased to inspire him.
This is the Bont inn where Joseph and his wife, Catriona, that they move here, and that top window is where over
So that's
the
his
town.
room, that was where he lived?
That's his actual room, yeah.
Up there.
From this exact room, he writes in his diary, "At 5 each morning, I hear the hobnail boots on the road. I go to the window of my room at the Bont Inn. Miners in the dark, going to work. Some look up to my light and lift an arm in greeting. And when the echoes of the feet fade, I leave the window and I go on with my work." Interviewed at the age of 84 in London, Joseph Herman still kept a strong memory of his time in Wales.
To begin with, I was a stranger, but I was accepted very quickly after about a fortnight. And living above a pub, people would come up to my studio and say, "Oh, Joe back just for a chat." There was no stranger feeling.
We're ending our first walk in the Church of St Synog, where just like in Herman's painting Miners Singing, the community comes to life with the sound of the local male choir. By maintaining this beautiful singing tradition, the flame of togetherness is still burning. This is something that Joseph Herman would no doubt be very moved to see, especially since he was the honorary chairman of the local choir.
And what's the connection between the choirs and the mining community?
That's where it kicked off.
In Ystradgynlais.
And why do you think the choirs have stayed around for so long? Why do you think that is?
We're looking for youngsters, what about you?
I meant any group that thinks of me as a youngster, I'm in. But what is it about being in a choir?
Camaraderie, social life.
So it's a living symbol of the values of the mining community, I suppose.
Yeah.
And long may you be in good voice.
Yes, here.
I'm in South Wales, exploring the old world of mining that Joseph Herman captured brilliantly. The old slag heaps featured in his paintings, so big that they could have been mountains, have now disappeared. Looking at the green landscape today, it's hard to believe that this place was once an industrial heartland. But here lies a memorial to the old coal mining industry. In an attempt to stop the Conservative government from closing the mines, in 1984 the local miners went on the most bitter industrial dispute in British history. And despite their year-long fight, they failed to save their industry. Our environmental concerns today might make us see the decline of the mining industry as inevitable, but the strikes and the mine closures scarred the community forever. The sense of trust that Herman would have experienced during his time in Wales was suddenly gone. Local photographer Roger Tilley is passionate about keeping the memories of the mining communities alive. And like Herman, he's dedicated his life to documenting them, not just in Wales, but all around the world.
It was always there. You could always see mining. You could always hear it. You could hear the pithead winding gears going, the steam coming from the pithead baths. So I was always conscious of it. And then the miners' strike happened, and I actually ended up photographing one of the biggest industrial stories in the 1980s.
I mean, I can remember reading about those times, and they were difficult, weren't they? That families surviving on goods that were being parcelled up in different parts of Britain and sent up to them.
Yeah, I mean, all of these guys that you see in the picture stayed out for the year-long strike. And during that strike was terrible because some of them lost their homes, couldn't pay their mortgages, relationships broke up.
The thing that Thatcher said, the end of the mining tradition was something that these communities would work their way through, and they would find other industries and other ways of building cohesion.
There's a lot more people coming in from outside to live in these villages, and then their workplaces are more in the cities, like Cardiff and Swansea. So I think the whole dynamic has changed. And when Joseph Herman was in Ystradgynlais, he would have seen a different Ystradgynlais to what we are seeing now, because this culture is gone, and it's probably gone forever. We're never going to see coal mining again in areas like Ystradgynlais.
So what you're saying, it's more than just a passing of a way of life. It's actually, to some degree, a whole culture.
Yeah.
But you have captured it, though, haven't you, for us? I'd love to see some of your images.
These were shot underground, and lots of comradeship, lots of friendship, lots of joking, lots of swearing. But once you go down the mine, although I'm a photographer, you become a miner. You become one of them.
Yes.
Doesn't matter what language you speak, they really look after you. But you wouldn't think that a human being could work in these conditions.
Yes. When you look at Herman, do you feel that you're part of the same endeavour, that you can see a kind of kindred spirit in...
I do.
In Joseph Herman?
I mean, Joseph Herman's pictures, a lot of them you can't identify individuals, and I think that's where my pictures, take a slightly different angle. But his use of colour, his use of blocking areas and doing these lovely, strong, symbolic shapes, and you can make out that they are miners, is really superb. I love his work. I think if Joseph Herman could come back now, he'd be very sad to see that there's people just walking around without jobs, without futures. There aren't any miners anymore.
I want to understand that spirit that Roger Tilley describes so passionately and that Herman captured in his art. So Michael and I are driving 20 minutes out of town to Tower Colliery. This mine has a special legacy, as it was bought by its workers in 1994 after British Coal threatened to close it. The wheels are no longer turning, but with his many stories and fond memories of the years he worked here, ex-miner Tony Scott is bringing life back to the place.
It's like the Wild West. To live out here takes a certain kind of hardiness.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello there.
How you doing?
Very well, thank you. And you?
Good to see you.
So This is a mine. Is it still working?
No, this is the mine we bought back in '94, and it stopped working in 2008.
And the workers themselves took over this mine?
Yes. A remarkable story in itself. Yeah. They brought money in, they brought cheques, and Glen Roberts, whose idea it was to buy the mine, had 230,000 pounds under his bed. He didn't sleep all night. Yeah, it's a remarkable story. But it's a marvellous industry. Mining is a tremendous industry. See, if you look at mining, you get explosions, you get people killed, you get awful, nasty injuries, you get all sorts. Nothing romantic about that. But the moment you put people in the mix, right, they're tremendous people.
But there's something that Herman identifies, something about the spirit that he finds here.
Yeah, there's a camaraderie there, there's a comfort there, there's this...
A dignity in labour.
A dignity in it, aye. That's the word, there's a dignity in labour. You know, yeah. When we walked down past this building, people think that it's just an office block. But if you stop and look at this, it's a purpose-designed building. You've got 300 people trying to get underground over there, picking up lamps.
Because the romance of that, at night, all these lamps being handed out and the light on the miners' faces. And that's the thing, I guess, that Herman would have come and been struck by, the drama.
You know, you can imagine, sometimes you get a gale force wind, middle of winter, rain pouring down, the men come out to there, collars up, all hurting across, laughing and joking. It's a tremendous atmosphere.
Yeah.
When you come up from underground, you're black, right?
Yes.
Your eyes are black, your back, and so when you come to shower, right, you do all of that, do your legs, and how do you wash the middle of your back?
Yeah.
Right, well, what you do is you all stand there, so I'll stand here, and somebody will stand there, and somebody will stand there, and you all wash each other's backs.
Yeah.
You know, there'll be 10 of you in line. And that's what you do, and it's normal.
And after everyone washed each other's backs, did they moisturise each other then as well? Look at that. So this is where everyone would be standing, covering each other's backs?
Yep.
Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah. Tony, thank you so much.
My pleasure. You take care.
See you again.
See you. Look after yourselves.
Ta-ra now. Bye, Suki.
Sit there. Hey.
It's hard for me to visualise how tough the conditions were and to understand the risks that Joseph Herman would have taken. Sitting under hundreds of tons of coal for hours on end while capturing the miners working. So I'm off to Big Pit, one of the very few coal mines in the world the public can have access to experience life underground.
I want to look good. It's important, isn't it?
Well, aye. You media types.
You happy with that?
Yeah. And so my second walk will be entirely underground, starting with the lift, passing through the air doors and reaching the kind of coal seam where Joseph Herman would have got down on his knees to sketch. We'll end at the Pit Pony Stables, a place he immortalised in his 1958 painting, Pit Pony.
So how deep are we going down, Paul?
Like it's 90 metres. Maximum speed we're going to travel here today is 2 metres per second. When I started in Bargoed, moved on to 6 Bells, they were 700 metres deep.
Wow.
And the speed we travel there would be 35 feet a second. You'd have the signals and all of a sudden the cage would drop and you'd leave your stomach on the surface. You'd pick it up at the end of the day. That's how it used to be.
Big Pit has been cleaned up for tourists. And a lot of safety measures have been put in place. But Joseph Herman and the miners would have experienced much worse conditions.
And the last one, close the doors, please.
And looking at all these textures and thinking Joseph Herman would have been down here and all of these kind of stratified layers of both labour but also of coal dust, and he thought, I want to take some of that and put that in my painting.
That's his artist eye, isn't it? You know, when you come to a mine, you see there's a bit of timber that's going to support the roof, so that the stone is going to fall out and hit you on the head. Yeah? So that's how he's an artist and I'm a miner. Like this, we're going to show you how dark it is down here. We're turning your lights off. I'm going to turn yours off there. And here goes mine, right? Oh. Now when you go back to the 1800s, children as young as 6 worked on these doors. They'd come down with a candle.
Oh my.
So they open the door, allow the horse to go through. What's going to happen to that candle?
Oh, it's going to get blown out, is it?
Wow. We turn our lights back on now, guys.
How long would they have been in that darkness?
Well, it would depend until the next haulier come along leading a horse. He'd have a candle with him, and then he'd light the child's candle, and then move on.
At 6?
Yeah, so that's how it worked. Yes,
amazing.
Just watch your footing as you come.
I will do.
Stables. This is one of the original stables here at Big Pit. Bit like Blue Peter by here now, guys. I did this one this morning. So I knew you was coming in, right? Oh, look at that, guys. Absolutely brilliant, isn't it? Yeah, so, horse. That's what they call it again. So, there it is there, look.
Right.
Yeah. Harness that goes around the back of the horse. And then all of the other tack that goes on.
Wow. What was the kind of smell and the atmosphere down here in the working mine? I mean,
it stinks. You imagine horses, there's 72 of them in a day.
72 horses?
Working in this particular mine. So there's a number of these stables scattered throughout the mine. It'd be stinking, wouldn't it? Yeah? If we walk down through these stables, I'll show you where Ystradgynlais is.
Oh, thank you. I've loved it, Paul. It's been really great. Although best remembered for his depictions of Welsh miners, Joseph Herman also fell in love with another side of Wales. Our next walk takes us along the Gower Peninsula, a coastline that has inspired many artists, including Herman. Like Joseph, we start our walk bright and early at the Mumbles, a well-known regional landmark, thought to have been named by French sailors and derived from the French mamelles, meaning boobies. Walking along the seafront towards Swansea, we pass the Mumbles Mile and its stunning beaches, where Joseph Herman sketched his glorious cockle pickers. We'll stop at Swansea Indoor Market for a taste of local food, and then end our walk at Vivian Gallery to see a very special work by Herman. Herman left Wales in 1955 because of the damp climate and its effects on his health. He made his way to warmer climes, including Mexico, France and Spain. But the memories of Wales lured him back to capture this beautiful bit of coastline. There's a point in middle age, as I'm beginning to discover, you get into your mid-50s and you are doing more looking back than you are forward. And Joseph Herman, he gets into his mid-50s, and that stage of his life is met with an even bigger challenge than most of us hit, and that is the loss of his young daughter. And it sends him into a really deep depression, and he only comes out of it through his art. He begins to paint, and it's a new body of work which reflects back to the happiest period of his life here in Wales, not thinking about loss, but thinking about warmth and community. In his notes from a Welsh diary, Joseph writes, "Children in the wind of the Gower coast, on the crescent-shaped sand, small boats lie upside down. Everywhere, sniffing dogs and laughter, and people eating packed lunches." And his lively sketches of beach scenes depict exactly this sense of fun. But there's another activity that grabs his interest: cockle picking. It's idyllic, isn't it? And it's hard to imagine that these beaches were the sites of women bent double, sieving the cockles and then taking them very often barefoot along these beaches to be sold in markets in Swansea and further afield. Sadly, cockle picking is another industry on the brink of disappearing. But we're now leaving the Gower coast behind us and reaching the Swansea indoor market. I hear you can still buy fresh cockles here, so I think it's time for a well-deserved local brunch. Carol?
Hi there.
Oh, hello, I'm Gus.
How are you?
Lovely to meet you.
Lovely, and you
I've
as well.
heard so much about you.
Good, good. How are you, all right?
Yeah, very good.
Got our cockles and our
You've got your cockles,
have, yes.
and they're looking spectacular.
Good.
But you're going to have to convince me.
Okay, no problem.
I've never had cockles.
You've never tried them before?
And being honest, they don't look that appetizing.
No, but they are.
Okay, I'm going to come round.
Right.
And I'm going to try some.
No problem, no problem. Now, these are our crispy cockles.
These are crispy. Oh.
Nice, and I'm going to have them for starters tonight. That's my starter tonight.
That is glorious.
Yes. My grandparents, my great-grandparents, they went out the sands, and my mum's brother, my uncle. So I've been coming to the market since I was 4 years of age, standing on a stool.
Wow.
With my great-grandparents and my grandmother.
So your grandmother was picking cockles?
Yeah, and my great-grandmother.
On the beach? Because
Yes.
that's the period when
That's right.
Joseph Herman's actually
There we are,
creating
look.
those.
That's right.
So do you think that she might have been in one of those images?
You never know. You never know.
So is this you with Prince Charles?
That's me with Prince Charles, that is. He came to the market.
Wow.
He sent me a letter to say he really enjoyed
No.
them. I've got a letter. Do you want to see it?
I'd love to see it.
A letter.
You keep your letter from Prince Charles in the microwave?
Not always.
It's asked to thank you very much for the gift of local produce. Gosh, how wonderful. But they are so good, I
Thank
can
you.
understand that.
Thank you.
A few minutes away from the market, we finish our walk at the Vivian gallery. They've pulled a mural by Herman out of storage, especially for me, and I'm very excited to see it.
And this is Joseph Herman's 1951 mural for the Festival of Britain. And the first thing to say is just how big it is. I mean, this is 6 meters across, but there's something about the confidence of the brushstrokes that makes you believe it's a tiny little jewel of the thing. It's because it's so beautifully conceived. The great psychoanalyst Jacques Lacan, he wrote about how great art didn't just talk to the time in which it was created, but also was predictive of some possible future. And in South Wales, whether it was the cockle pickers or whether it was the miners, Joseph Herman could sense when change was coming. And here, he wants to capture for posterity the kind of dignity, the kind of majesty of these men. Joseph Herman is such an important figure that we must find a place for this, a permanent place for this. Because this is a work not just of importance in terms of Herman's practice, but in terms of telling the story of Wales.
I once missed an opportunity to meet Joseph Herman, and I've always regretted it. However, his son, David, has agreed to meet me and to talk about his father's legacy.
Your father, Joseph Herman, I mean, he's such a hero of mine. What was he like to grow up with?
He was a remarkable man because he had, in many ways, experienced terrible loss.
Yes.
His family were all killed in Poland during the war, and yet he was the least bitter of human beings. He was remarkably generous, remarkably kind, warm-hearted.
But those early years that he spends in Poland, in Warsaw, I mean, that Did they have an impact that you can see in the work?
Well, there were two things, I think. One is that he grew up in a very poor family in a very poor part of Warsaw, the capital of Poland. And from then on, his subject was always social. And one thing we're very worried about suddenly, yet again in Britain, is community, and how do we treat each other? Is it right to close down whole industries? Is it right to destroy whole communities? And sometimes you need a painting or a book or a film that will just bring that anxiety to life, and you'll think, no, that is not the way to treat our fellow citizens. That is not the way to treat communities, to just throw people on the scrap heap. And I think one of the reasons that his work still speaks to people, particularly in the town where he lived for so long in South Wales, was because he valued those people, their work, what they did, their sense of community, their pride in their work. He valued that tremendously, and he tried to bring that value to life in his work.
It's time for me to return to Ystradgynlais and have a final stroll along the beautiful River Towie with Michael Sheen, and to reflect on Herman's legacy, not only as a great artist, but also as a man who captured forever the pride in Welsh history.
We couldn't have asked for a better evening than this, could
Yeah,
we?
glorious end to the walk. And what an appropriate place to end it, with the spot where he was inspired to paint Evening.
My favourite Joseph Herman painting. Evening Ystradgynlais.
Here it is.
This is it.
Gosh. And it's been an epic walk, hasn't it?
It has. It's been a walk through not just Herman's paintings, but this culture, the history of this culture, this community. It's been quite something.
And what does he mean to you, then?
I have very, very complicated feelings about mining, as I think the men themselves have, you know. My feelings about everything that Herman was able to capture are equally complicated. As he said, he was drawn to the sadness and the grandeur. And I think that's exactly how I feel about it.
Oh.
To end this incredible journey in Wales, Michael has selected a poem by Idris Davies, a self-taught Welsh miner who wrote about the hurt of the mining community around him. You may recognise the words from the many song adaptations of Bells of Rhymney, inspired by this beautiful poem.
Oh, what will you give me? Say the sad bells of Rhymney. Is there hope for the future? Cry the brown bells of Merthyr. Who made the mine owner? Say the black bells of Rhondda. And who robbed the miner? Cry the grim bells of Blaenau. They will plunder will-nilly, cry the bells of Caerphilly. They have fangs, they have teeth, shout the loud bells of Neath. Even God is uneasy, say the moist bells of Swansea. And what will you give me? Say the sad bells of Rhymney. Throw the Vandals in court, say the bells of Newport. All will be well if, cry the green bells of Cardiff. Why so worried, sisters, why? Sang the silver bells of Wye. And what will you give me? Say the sad bells of Rhymney.
You media types.